I'm going to go over a few nuke tickers on the 5-minute time frame and give you some price targets for Monday. First up is SMR. We ended the week at $19.77, up 4%. To the north side from where we are takes us to 2 standard deviations, and that is roughly at $20.61. That is also resistance and a potential take profit area. Above that takes us to roughly 21.35 and 22.06. This blue line, I turned on the Bollinger Bands this time around, and TradingView calls this line the basis line. This is the upper channel and the lower channel. But to the south side of that takes us to roughly 1913, another level of support and a potential buy-in area. I will mark that out. Below that, 1764, 1691, and roughly 1660. Looking left, you can see there was a bounce at support, another level of support here, 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 and then this run up. And if we're down here and we go through this line, this turns into resistance, and we busted through, grinding sideways, and then slowly going down there. And again, if we hit support, I'll anticipate a bounce off of that. But right now we are still in a downward channel on the 5. The next one is, let me just point out. So this is the middle of the trend for this upcoming week. This was the previous week. And the week, oops, let me hit Command Z. I think did I hit something? Let me just take that down. Yeah. All right. This is for the upcoming week. This was last week, the previous week, and then several weeks ago. So we went from here, here, here to here. And then this is where we were. We went up and then started to grind our way down. The gap that is still in play takes us down to 1377. And if we slowly continue our descent, we could touch that area in 2 weeks possibly. But we could obviously also wick to that level. Well, wick down and then bounce back up, because this will be considered also support. And what else do I have? That one's closed. I think that's it. All right, the next one is NNE. We ended the day at $25.19, up 3.20%. This is where we are. One level of resistance takes us to 25.80. Above that, 26.55, 27.29. And the middle of the trend takes us back to a spot we've been previously. That was the week of the 16th. So we went up and then made our way back down, and we are ending back at where we started last week. So I will mark that out. And the basis for the Bollinger Band is 25.26. Below that, 22.88, 22.13, and roughly 21.39. And you can see the sell-off at resistance, 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 and then this level as well. And so this is the trend line that I drew out for this upcoming week. The previous week was here, the week before that, and then the week before that. But these two lines are so close, I'm going to now just delete that. I don't need a whole bunch of lines. I could delete this one too, but I want to keep this one just to see where we end up next week. But eventually I'll remove that. So the band that we're in, the channel, could be this band, and then obviously all the way through here, these levels. All right, the next one, let me check to the downside. The gaps that are still in play, they're not in the channel, not in the zone just yet, but I will extend that out. And we've got these other ones down here as well. These are open wounds that will potentially get closed out in the future. And then we've got this gap to the upside that will take us to 33.52, but note the downward channel that we are still in. And let me flip this over to the daily because you're going to get different buy and sell signals. Then using the Bollinger Bands here. Let's take a look. Can't see because this thing is in the way and it's right there. So the upper channel could take us to 30.28 and then the lower channel 21.67-ish. The RSI is turning up, plenty of room to the upside and then plenty of room to go to the downside as well. And the 1-year price target is $58, which represents a 130% return from where we are. And it's hard to think that we could get to this level, or we may never not, and then things get revised downward. That is also a possibility. And the next one is LTBR. We ended the week at $4.66, up 2.87%. The 52-week high is $14.20. The 52-week low, $2.21. So where are we in the channel? Still going down, but not as steep as it has been before, I think. I'd have to go back and look at my old videos and see how things have changed. Oops. But we are right here. 470 is one target. The upper channel 480, but 2 standard deviations takes us back to a level we've been before. 516, 532. Let me just mark that out. And that takes us to 435, 419, 402. And look at that. We've started to slide, bounce back up, but clear support, and a bounce, bounce off of here, sell off here. And on the 1-hour time frame, let's check that out. But look, we're grinding sideways for the longest time, ran all the way up for that high of 1420. And then look at that just bleeding out, going down, hitting resistance again, and then just making our way down, grinding south. And that's on the 1 hour. But back to the 5. Well, let me take a look at this on the daily really quickly. See if we've made any progress here. So we're just going down, and then eventually I think we will retrace back to the upside, but it could take a while. But on the daily, we are down here. All right, the next level could take us to 548. There's a level here, 670. The upper band, 761. And then we've got this gap to the downside at 361. I don't think we'll get that low. Fingers crossed. All right, now back to the 5. The next one is, let me see if I can pull this. OKLO. What does this say? 2 days ago, OKLO stock rises. Nuclear power company is in great position with AI boom. Initiated and outperformed by Wedbush. Doesn't Dan Ives work for Wedbush? I do like to listen to what he has to say. Okay, we are back on the 5, and one target could be 2203, but I do not trade off of the Bollinger Bands. As you may know, I do it off of the linear, and I've preset my linear, but I will make a video on that. I just have not had time, and eventually I will. All right, so we're at 2231, 2379, 2459, and at 4 standard deviations, roughly 2530 to the south side, because there's always a south side, 2076, 2003, and 1929. So this is where we are headed in an upward channel. The last week was down here. So from here to here is an increase of roughly 20.68%. Not too shabby. And that, again, is just in a week's time. And for the day, though, on Friday, we were only up 2.67%. Now, what is the 1-year price target? 2250. 2250. What? Wait. So that has been reset because the 52-week high was 28. So 2250 and then 27 after that. All right, check this out. Look at this monstrosity here. And then what happens? People take their profits and they run, they lock in, and they leave. And you can bet they will. That made us tank all the way back down. And all of these lines turn into support on the way. We just bled through and then found our middle ground right here, the middle of the trend, where price has to pass to get to the bottom, or if we're at the bottom, to the upside. But price likes to stay and hover around this line, grinding along this line. It's hard to see that with the Bollinger Band. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. And then obviously if you bought in down here, instead of where I was just pointing out that run, you would have been better off too. And NUKZ is the last one. And this one is an ETF, but they call it an exchange traded concepts trust, whatever that means. But it's still a fund. 4166 up 0.85% to the north side, takes us to 4214, 4265, and roughly 4312. And 4122, 4029, 3982, and 3935. Let's clean up this gap that's been in play since, well, that's a little wonky. I'll fix that. Sometimes I move things on accident. I feel like that should have been over here with the run-up. But anyway, I had this marked out roughly 41.25. Let me hit Option R to reset. 41.25 is right here. And we touched, well, that didn't touch right there. It's very gappy, this one. And we touched right here on Wednesday. So congratulations if you went short and it hit your level. And that started at roughly 41.77. But this gap also touched, all right, it touched right here on Monday out of the gate. Remember, I just extend my gaps whenever they form, have no idea when they're going to touch. And that's why you have to go back and clean it up. This is no longer a threat to our account to the south side. Of course, there are many other threats, just not that one. And then we do have this gap to the downside. And that will definitely touch next week if we continue our pattern downward. Roughly 38.97. Oh yeah, there we are. And that one formed on roughly Wednesday, the 16th of October. I'll clean that one up again, as I said, but You get the idea. Delete this. That way I know from a quick glance that it is done and closed out. So what happened here? Look at this. Look at this. So we went up, and now it looks like we're just retracing to the south side. And how low will we go? No clue. No clue if we're going to bleed out or close out this gap and then bounce, because that is one level of support and a gaping hole, a wound that we need to cauterize. Now, what else is going on? So we had a bounce here at support, sell off at resistance. So I did that. All right. So that was, this line is for the upcoming week. That was the previous week. And then the week before that. And then the week before that. So a gradual decline going down, and we are still going down. But hopefully, fingers crossed, once we hit this, we'll go back up again. And let me actually flip this over to the daily and see if, no, the linear does not come on, so that's okay. We'll use the Bollinger Bands to help us determine a potential spot. So we could, in theory, go up to 44.08 from where we are, and then 47.73 on the daily, and room to go to the upside here. So 47.73 on the high end. Let's go back. See how this now says just 42.39. So you're going to get different buy and sell signals based upon what time frame you play. Let me fix that. Move that over to Monday. Oh, no, not Monday. That ended on Friday. All right, that does it for me. That is a look at SMR, NNE, LTBR, OKLO, and NUKZ. Have a great trading week.